What's up, Delaware? Nick Alessandrini alongside Jason McCall. We are back for another edition of DETV Sports here on Thursday evening. Jason, welcome back. A little bit of a busy day for you on Monday, but Celtics been playing well. We'll get to that here in a little bit. We'll touch on the NBA, both the Eastern and the Western Conference Finals. But how you feeling on Thursday night?
Feeling good.
I mean, it got to be, right?
We're
Boston's playing well. We're back in
I'm
action.
back, we're back, you know.
So there's a lot to get into here today. Let's start, though, with our local sports. As we talked earlier on Monday, our baseball first round is underway today. Games are just actually starting to finish up, so as we accumulate scores, we will send them your way. Just a few to get started. Indian River in Newark Charter. They were one of the first scores that we had today. Indian River, your 14 seed. Newark Charter, your 19 seed. An 11-5 win for Indian River. So they will advance, and they will meet Appoquinimink, the third seed, on Saturday. William Penn and Smyrna, they were going at it today. Smyrna the 13, William Penn the 20. And it was William Penn led by Brandon Grigo. Of course, a two-run homer for him. Jason Waring with multiple RBIs for the Colonials. 8 hits for William Penn, but Smyrna with 5 errors in that one. That led to a William Penn 11-1 victory over Smyrna. So the 20 seed upsets the 13 seed there. They'll get the 4-seeded Salesianum on Saturday. Lake Forest and Sussex Central, another first-round matchup. Lake Forest 17, Sussex Central 16. A minor upset here as Lake Forest holds on. They get a 7-4 victory over a very talented Sussex Central team. So Lake Forest starting to roll. They get a win there. They're going to get the top seed in the tournament, so that's a big prize for your first win in the tournament. They get Cape Henlopen, who has won 16 games in a row. They will get them on Saturday. Let's update you on your girls lacrosse championship. Cape Henlopen looking for yet another state title. They are up 6-3 at the half. Moments ago, me and Jason were talking. It was 4-3 with about 6 minutes to go in the first half. Elizabeth Rishko, the last 3 goals for Cape Henlopen. She added 2 more in that period to extend to a 6-3 lead. They are at the half down at Dell State for your girls lacrosse state championship. So that's what we have so far for high school athletics in your spring playoffs today. When we get more, we'll share it with you, Jason. But let's go ahead and dive in to some NBA, into the association here. Let's start with the Eastern Conference Finals. Boston able to defeat Miami 93-80 to take that 3-2 lead in Game 5. The Heat did not have Tyler Hero, a version of Jimmy Butler, but Marcus Smart also banged up for Boston as well. So both teams dealing with some injuries. But, Jason, it was all Boston in Game 5.
It was all Boston, but it was still an ugly win. And somebody had to win the ugly game, and Boston did that last night in Game 5. I mean, the shooting really wasn't the best in the first half. Got a little bit better in the second half, but still overall, it was one of those grinded-out games. Boston had to come back from being down, and they overcame a bad shooting half from Jason Tatum. They overcame a bad shooting half from Jaylen Brown. But the story of the first half was the play of Derek White. Derek White really kept them in the game with 11 points in the first half. Really kept them in the game, kept them steady. And then the second half, it was like an onslaught. Everybody started cooking on all cylinders. And again, the Heat are a good team, but they're really a bunch of role players to above average stars. Like I'll say, Jimmy Butler is not a superstar to me. He's an above average NBA player. Bam Adebayo is not a superstar to me. He's an above average NBA player. The Celtics have 2 bona fide superstars and role players who used to be somewhat of stars on other teams. So they have more firepower, and it shows in their play. And even when people get hurt, next man up mentality from Miami, you have people like Vincent and Strus. Next man up from Boston's standpoint, you still have people like Al Horford, who's been an all-star prior to coming to Boston. You still have Derek White, who's been a serviceable player before coming to Boston. So the dynamics are different when you see the rosters. And Boston, even though they play great defense, they're still an offensive-minded team with the players they have. They just ended up playing great defense now. And you see that in this series, and it's starting to wear down the Heat as the series goes along.
Yeah, I agree with you there. For me, the only pushback would be Jimmy Butler. I know he's still battling or playing a little bit banged up with those knees. And I mean, you tell me he did not look.
He's playing hurt. Yeah,
he did not look anything like what we saw in Game 1, especially of this series. So again, I'm with you on Bam Adebayo. I think he's an above-average player, not a superstar. I mean, you can call him an all-star. He's made an all-star team, but again, even some of those all-stars you get years and years out may not maintain that level of play.
Right,
You know, you never know. But I'm with you there in terms of talent. I think Boston has more talent. But the thing with Miami, and we saw it against the Sixers, was they had the energy. They were out hustling Philly throughout that series. But again, now the Jimmy's a little bit banged up. Not sure. Again, no Tyler Hero. Not sure if it's an emotional thing for them. But the effort to me hasn't been there. I mean, at least it's there, but not as much as we saw against Philly.
Yeah, I would say the effort is the biggest thing that you see with the Heat. Like, they have it like the first quarter and a half, and then it just dissipates. Like, it just literally just goes poof, be gone, nowhere. But also, again, it goes back to just being healthy.
Yeah, and I think it helps messes with their head a little bit.
It does.
They know Hero's not there.
It does.
And when they're on the offensive end, even in the half court, they're, where are we going to get a bucket from?
Right.
They were running so much, and I mean, you watched the game on Monday night, or whatever they played last. They were trying to run a lot of stuff. Duncan Robinson's now into the game for Miami out of nowhere. Max Strus, they were running half the offense out of the half court for Max Strus at one point in the game, and he couldn't get anything going. Let's talk about those backcourt numbers for Miami. The starting backcourt, Lowry and Strus in the last 2 games, 81 minutes, 7 combined points, 5 assists, 1 of 28 from the field, 1 of 19 beyond the arc. That is the worst numbers for a starting backcourt in the last 2 games in the playoffs since 1970-1971. So they are getting absolutely. I don't know. I mean, somebody comment below. But I will tell you, I mean, when you're getting historically poor performance, I can't even say historic, the worst backcourt performance from your starting backcourt in these last 2 games, it's going to be hard to win playoffs.
And then when you add Jimmy Butler's numbers,
and you're
7 for 32, shooting 21% from the field. And you add those numbers to
with
these,
the backcourt.
with the backcourt.
Oh my God, that's your 1 through 3 positions.
And then
right
you look at again. Let's talk about Kyle Lowry for a second.
Oh, and again, big Kyle Lowry fan throughout his career. Go Cats, Villanova.
But we know why other teams didn't give him the big contract that he got from Miami. No team is willing to give him what Miami gave him. And we're seeing why.
And I love Kyle Lowry, like I just said, but the Sixers were one of those teams that were mentioned in that mix, and the whole time I was going, no. I mean, I love you, Kyle Lowry, but you don't want to pay that much money for what Kyle Lowry is right now.
And you're seeing the Heat have buyer's remorse of Kyle Lowry, and it shows. But it's just the team just isn't. I don't know what it is. Boston just being a better team, and Boston wanted this matchup for revenge from the bubble conference final in 2020, and they have it. But the series is over.
And again, that was my question. Jason beat me to it. Is the series over? I'm with you. I think the series is over. It's going to be tough for Miami to make something happen. Again, to me, it's just the lack of shot creators offensively for them. The shot creators, and not only that, shot makers. It goes both ways. You know, I hurt Jimmy Butler, no Tyler Hero, who was your second in command in terms of being able to create his own shot. You're not getting any of that right now. Miami, a long road ahead if they want to end up getting to the NBA Finals, because Boston looking good.
I will say this. The only person who's been consistent as a shot maker and playmaker, let's give Victor Oladipo his flowers. He is finally healthy again, and you're seeing that. He is the one player that Boston's not been able to stop in this series, and he's pretty much leading them in scoring almost every game.
Yeah, rough game in Game 5, but only in 15 minutes, so didn't get much of a shot. It's hard, again, to develop a playoff rhythm when you're not getting the minutes that consistently that maybe you would be getting. I mean, you look at some of these, even Hayward Highsmith getting in last night for Miami, that would be just a minute.
It was bad.
Oladipo, 15 minutes. Caleb Martin, 15. Duncan Robinson playing 30 minutes last night for them. Did able to get a couple shots to go, 4 of 12 from the floor, but they are going to have to dig deep. It's going to have to be a big Jimmy Butler game, which I don't see it happening with the injury, the way he's banged up, and the way Boston's been able to defend inside, especially Robert Williams now settling in a little bit more in the paint.
Yeah, I don't see it. Now, they won't go down without a fight. Miami is a tough team.
And I would have said the same thing to you, Jason, earlier, but I haven't seen fight the last 2 games, so I don't know.
So are they doing what the Sixers did in the previous series against Miami? Just quitting in the last 2 games?
You know what? It looks close. It looks similar to me to that, except Miami. They don't even have a chance to me right now with the injuries and the way they're playing. The effort on top of some other things. They don't even have the talent I believe that the Sixers had. So I think it's worse in the Sixers case because theirs was mostly quit. They had no reason to act or to play as effortlessly as they did.
Okay.
Miami, a little bit more, I guess, even though in playoff attitude you should never have that affect your gameplay.
Right.
But at the same time, I see similar traits there out of these 2 series.
Well, I honestly think with or without the injuries, this is going to be Boston's series.
And again,
it may not be as lopsided as these last 2 games have been, but even from the onset, I just thought that Boston had too many weapons and
Somebody agrees with you.
And there's
That Boston has too many weapons.
oh, well, and
We'll
who
get
would
to
that be?
Who would agree with, you know what? It was honestly that same quote, Jason. Boston has too many weapons. We were going to get to that later, but Dennis, let's flash that up right now if you got it. This caused a stir after Boston was blowing out Miami in game number 5. This was Joel Embiid causing a stir to everyone in the surrounding area of Philadelphia late last night by tweeting, "Miami needs another star." And Jason, we saw the way that Joel Embiid and the Sixers were bounced this year. A lot of the talk has been, when is Joel going to feel like he has to leave, or maybe when is he going to want to leave? Something you brought up maybe here on the desk a few weeks ago. What did that tweet, if anything, mean to you last night, or is he just trolling like he usually does?
You know what? This isn't a troll. This is just a obvious observation. Like, it's a Captain Obvious moment. Like, everyone sees that you need another star. Like, you have LeBron saying things.
So you take nothing out of this tweet.
I take nothing from it on surface, but we all know about the friendship between Jimmy and Joel from when they played together in Philadelphia, and we know that he blames Tobias getting money for him not being there,
and Brett Brown and Ben Simmons as well. So.
Yeah, it remains to be seen, but I hinted at this a few weeks ago that, hey, do not be surprised if Joel ever wants out of Philly and if Jimmy's still in Miami. That's a destination for him. But not saying that Sixers fans don't at me. don't at me, but
again, he did lay it flat. A few more tweets after that, ending off the night with one that kind of maybe felt everybody feel a little bit more at ease, but still you don't like to see your star player in Philadelphia with the Sixers, Joel Embiid, tweeting anything like that. Here's what he said about 15 to 20 minutes later. So after he received, I'm sure, many tweets and comments talking about that. I know the Heat fans were out in full force after that game last night with their recruiting hats on, going after Joel Embiid. But again, we all hope he remains in Philly for the foreseeable future, and most likely going to be the case here for
all that
Joel.
money's great. Contract kicks in this year, right?
Yeah, I believe so, right for you. So let's see. Gabe Vincent, 15 points off the bench, a little bit of a bright spot there. Did shoot 1 of 7 beyond the arc, but they're going to have to find something else if they want to get back in the series. 3-2 Boston, Game 6 tomorrow night, 8:30.
Yeah, they're going to need Tim Hardaway, Alonzo Mourning, Glenn Rice, Steve Smith, Dwayne Wade, Ronnie Cycling, everybody come back.
All right, well, let's keep it moving here to the Western Conference Finals. Is looking as though if the Celtics, though, might have a chance to go back to the NBA Finals. Looking for banner number?
18.
18. We'll see how it goes. Now to Golden State and Dallas. We've seen this a few times out of the Warriors. They just can't close out a team up 3-0. Denver couldn't close them out in that game 4, up 3-1 on Memphis. I believe couldn't close out that game when they needed to. They ended up traveling again. Another closeout opportunity for Golden State against Dallas. And you know when a team's up 3-0, it's going to be tough. That team's going to give you everything they got on the road. And the Mavericks were able to do that, a 119-109 victory over Golden State, able to extend the series Game 5 tonight out in San Francisco. What'd you see out of the Mavericks? They're able to stay alive, as we've seen a few teams do against the Warriors here in the postseason.
The Mavericks just had a really hot shooting game from 3.
That's some outside help a little
Nothing
bit,
else. This series is over. It's definitely over. Golden State's not going to follow the Yellow Brick Road, but they're going to follow the Golden Gate Bridge back to the NBA Finals. That's what's great to happen tonight. This is over. I mean,
I'm with you.
Kudos to Dallas, but I look at Dallas right now in a similar scenario to the Heat, but they actually have a superstar. Like, if Luka doesn't score or do well, then they don't do well. He's the engine. He's a straw that stirs a drink for them. So they have great complementary players, but against Golden State, you can't out Golden State. They did it for
we've
one
been
game.
saying that here at the desk for weeks, right?
They did it for one game. They did it in game 4, where they out Golden State shooting all the threes and hitting them. But you can't do that every game. Golden State actually can.
And again, I mean, we see them in these games. Again, it just didn't seem like, not saying their effort wasn't there for the Warriors, but you're up 3-0, you're on the road at Dallas, you're thinking, hey, we give up this one, whatever, we're going back to San Francisco for Game 4. You know, it's happened to them before. Again, they close it out tonight. I just think it was, one game. They let the Nuggets have one. Jokic with a big game to keep them alive in Game 4. I think similar thing here. Luka, 30, 14, 9, not to mention the 2 steals and the 2 blocks for Doncic. And then you mentioned the role players. Dorian Finney-Smith, 23 for them in the starting lineup. Bullock gave him 18, Brunson 15, and Maxi Kleber 5 of 6 from the field. He's his first game where he actually shot the ball well in some time now after having such a hot start in the postseason, 13-8 for him. So again, the supporting cast was there for Dallas in that 119-109 win in Game 4. You're going to see some of the highlights here. And Golden State, though, again, early lead here, but Dallas able to battle back. And again, once they took the lead, it was all the Mavericks come the second half there. But we said the game, I was going to ask you, can the Mavs stay alive? But we're both saying tonight they'll be going to Cancun by tomorrow.
Yeah, they'll be Cancun on 3.
Cancun on 3.
1, 2, 3 Cancun.
Or tomorrow.
That's what's happening. But honestly, I want to take a moment to really speak on this. I believe that the Warriors really weren't mentally in the game because that was the day of the unfortunate tragedy that happened at the Robb High School in Uvalde, Texas. And Coach Kerr gave a adamant, profound, whatever word you want to use, his comments on the status of the shooting and the status of our country and everything. It was a talk of all media, not just sports media, but all media the other night. So I believe that they took that tenor from their coach and they really weren't thinking about basketball.
Yeah, and hard to think about basketball or something like that.
So
happened.
Just want to say from DETV to the families affected, thoughts and prayers, and hope that whatever else can be done should get done.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, hopefully we don't have to hear about any more tragedies here in the near future. Absolutely. Again, thoughts and prayers with the victims and everybody affected there. Warriors, though, Kuminga gave him 17 points off the bench. He's starting to, be a little bit sign of life. GP2 goes down. Who's going to get those minutes? And Kuminga showed up a little bit there. Obviously, they lose the game, but you like to see that out of such a young player.
Yeah, I mean, Kuminga, he just has it. It's the energy.
I like Kuminga, and I said this in the draft. I do like him. I like the pick.
And he's a rookie, right?
Is it second year now, or is this his rookie year?
I think this
is
is
his
his
rookie
rookie
year,
year.
because Jalen Green, that's right. Wow,
is
that's
his
been a
rookie
long
year.
season, everybody. That's right. He is a rookie. Him and Jalen Green on the G League Ignite last year.
So for them to get a player like that as a rookie and for him to contribute right away, it's great for their team because Golden State, people, not myself, but other people wrote them off a couple years ago.
We were talking about this before we went on the air. Again, people were acting like they weren't going to be able to get back to this point. Clay, back 2.5 years missing. Draymond banged up. Steph injured.
But let's be honest. The only thing that stopped Golden State the last 2 years was health, not play.
I agree completely.
It was certainly health, and they changed their roster up. So you're talking about people playing with like 12 different new players. So they had to get in the system for a year or so. And you see what you see what last year has done as far as building the camaraderie and the chemistry with the team. And now you have your big three back essentially healthy.
Yep, and that's it, and that's everything, and that's Clay not playing. Not as, and he was again before the injury one of the best, in my opinion, players,
best two-way players
in the league.
Yeah.
And now obviously not to where he used to be after the injury, but
not
getting
yet.
there, good,
Not
good
yet.
enough as
He'll
you
be
can
there.
see settling in. Warriors are looking real good right now. Again, they do drop that game to Dallas, and one thing Steve Kerr said also about Luka Doncic gives them resemblances of James Harden when they played him back in 2018 with the Houston Rockets. Do you see that comparison at all?
No.
He said in terms of the pressure that he puts on a defense, which is a very loose term. You can say that about a lot of players, but they said they're defending Luka this year as they did James Harden in 2018.
I guess you could say that, but Luka's different. Like Luka's on another level.
I say he plays at his own pace, a little bit
his
slow
own
game
pace.
style.
I mean, he dictates the game in his own way. He's special. He should be called Unicorn and not Porzingis. That's how special Luka is. He's slow but quick. He's strong. He's a better ball handler than people give him credit for too.
He is.
I think that's one of his best attributes of his game is his ball handling and his decision making.
And I think he knows how to use his body. He's 6'7", 230, 235. He uses his body so well as a point guard. That's another thing I think that just separates him from other players.
I know you give him James Harden, but I'm going to go a lesser name but still big talent. He reminds me of a bigger Sam Cassell. He can get to his spot when he wants to, put you in the post, back you down, do whatever you need to do. Or even a bigger Mark Jackson. Like that type of game is what he has. Those two players weren't too fast, but they were smart. Mm-hmm. They were savvy and could score when they needed to, and score at will. I think he's more of those two players than anything.
So now after the Mavericks, again, you're improving, it seems like, every year. Luka's getting better every year. First team All-NBA for Luka Doncic. We'll get to those teams here in a second. But a big year, Brunson going to be a free agent.
Pay that man.
And that's what usually you get these teams like this. They have a lot of success here. Then you try to keep the group together. And Boston's an example. They were able to keep that group together a couple years now. They're on the verge of making the NBA Finals. This young Mavericks team already in the Western Conference Finals this season. What do they do with that core? A lot of people are saying, do you go out and get another star for Luka? Or is Brunson that guy? I mean, what do you do if you're Mark Cuban and the Mavericks? They got a lot of decisions to make this offseason.
Well, Mark Cuban has deep pockets. We all know this. If you see their locker room, their amenities at American Airlines, if you see just everything that he's been doing as an owner and just even in his business dealings over the years, he has deep pockets. He can honestly pay Brunson and add another star to that team, and they'll be fine. I think that's what they're going to do.
And again, who wouldn't want to come play with Luka Doncic, especially after everything you've seen out of him the last few years? There are going to be some people on Dallas's list of free agents. Again, this year might not be the year for free agents, a few of them, but next year looking like a better market in terms of a free agent class. So we'll see what Dallas does in this offseason. Again, on the verge, Western Conference Finals against the Warriors, but again, not looking like they're going to be able to get over that hump so young in Luka's career. We'll see what Dallas does during this offseason. Now let's talk about the All-NBA teams, and you have to start, Jason, with Joel Embiid. He's second in the MVP voting for the second consecutive season, and then in that second consecutive season, not a member of that first-team All-NBA. It goes as listed here at the guards, Luka Doncic and Devin Booker. And let's be clear, again, you don't have to vote by position, but that's just how it's been done over the years. They label it by position. So guard Luka Doncic, guard Devin Booker, forward Giannis Antetokounmpo, forward Jason Tatum, there you go, and center, the MVP for the second consecutive year, Nikola Jokic. Just quickly talking about the first team, Jason, should Joel Embiid been a member of that first team, as you see the NBA's All-NBA 3 teams on your screen now?
And without question. Now, you said that you could vote for teams regardless of position.
Absolutely.
Therefore, Joel Embiid should have been on the All-NBA first team. I would have not had Devin Booker on the All-NBA first team, to be honest with you. Out of those, if I'm looking at that list right now, I'm removing Devin Booker, I'm inserting Joel. Simple as that. Or even, let's say Joel stays on the first team, stays on second team. Devin Booker shouldn't be on the first team. I would have put Ja Morant as the other guard on the All-NBA first team, if we're going strictly by position.
Yep. Again, for me, he could have gone either way. I like Steph Curry there on the second team. I definitely would have had Joel Embiid on the first team. I don't care, move whoever you want. You can leave Jokic on there, and Luka, Giannis, I think, should be on there, as you mentioned, and Jason Tatum for what the Celtics were able to do the second half of the year. I'm again, Devin Booker, great year for Phoenix. They had the #1 seed and another playoff exit, though, for them and company. I definitely would have had Embiid in that first team.
Let me throw a monkey wrench in there for you.
Yeah.
Looking at the second team, you have Steph at the guard, Ja at the other guard, KD, DeMar DeRozan as a forward, and Joel. Did KD deserve second team All-NBA this year?
That's a discussion. Again, how many games we have to look at how many games he played too. That's something I look at is games played. If you have to be at least in the 60s for me. But we'll have to see. It could. That's tough. Again, with Boston, he dealt with the Kyrie issues, the Simmons issues the second half of the year. I mean, he didn't have any help. They were, though, just a 7 seed. It's not like they lit it up in the regular season.
Yeah. I honestly think that he got second team off of his name, but it really should have been third team All-NBA.
And who would you moved up to second team, LeBron?
No. I probably would have Karl-Anthony Towns on second team. Honestly.
I might have swapped
or even
LeBron and Durant.
They didn't do anything, so I can't really put anybody Lakers.
And that's true. I mean, you're right about that for one. The Lakers, I'm not all over that.
But I honestly would have put Big Cat on the second team.
Okay, I do also want to say I do like Siakam on the third team.
Great job for a great season. Everybody thought that the first year without Kyle Lowry, they wouldn't do anything, and they proved everybody wrong this year. So good job to Toronto for having Van Vliet as an All-Star and Siakam making third team All-NBA. Good players for them. Great
Durant,
season.
Jason, he missed 27 games. He played 55.
At 13.
So 13. We're moving him down to third team. That's a consensus. Not sure how Dennis feels about it, but we're going to move him down on our DETV All-NBA team to the third team. But other than that, anything else surprise you there? We talked about this. No Jimmy Butler, missed some games. The Heat, though, were the #1 seed. Yeah. Brandon Ingram had a big year, but overall, I didn't think there was many people you could have argued to be back on any of these 3 teams.
Yeah. Now, some people might debate the Chris Paul thing, but based on his postseason play, but the regular season play, he still deserves third.
Yeah, and that thumb injury at the All-Star break hurt him a little bit. But, I mean, and with Phoenix getting the #1 seed, him and Devin Booker on the first and third team, again, you can make arguments first, second, third, whatever, but they should be in the top 3.
But the top seed in the East doesn't have anyone on this list. So.
And that's what was surprising to me. And again, I'll have to look up Jimmy Butler's games played. I know he was battled, and he mostly just cares about the playoffs anyway. Yeah. But that was the one person, again, that you maybe thought about. I mean, it's hard to argue with these guys.
If anything, you put Bam on third team. If we're going to go that way, if you're not going to put Jimmy, at least put Bam on third team. Bam had a decent season. Yeah,
he did have a decent season. And again, Jason, we talked about this before we went on the air. Let's raise the question to everybody at home as well. Bam Adebayo or DeAndre Ayton? Who do you want on your team right now going forward? Not for one season, going forward. Who do you got?
We talked about this off camera, too.
Jimmy Butler, though, for the record, 57 games, just 2 more than Kevin Durant here this season. So,
again, third team.
Third team. There are a lot of third teamers.
But the question you asked was, going forward, Ayton or Bam? Bam is more physical.
Yeah.
He's more aggressive. But Ayton can play defense like Bam, but has a more well-rounded offensive arsenal.
Polished a little bit more offensively.
More polished offensively. Yeah. So I'm going to go DeAndre Ayton. And if Phoenix does not re-sign him,
it's up in the air.
They will go under. They will go under. He is the key to them being successful going forward.
It's going to be interesting, too, because like we said, Chris Paul, how many years has he had? There were thoughts and rumors going around the last couple of weeks that he's thinking about retiring.
He should.
So if he does, in fact, retire, if you're Phoenix, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, you're right, those are your 2 guys under contract right now, but you're going to need DeAndre Ayton, and you're going to need maybe some other guys as well if they want to get back to where they've been able to do.
If Chris Paul retires, then Devin Booker and Ayton need to be 1 and 1A for that team to win, for the team to be consistently winning, because we remember the Phoenix teams with Devin Booker being leading scorer, and they didn't do anything. They can't go back to that.
They won 10 around the bubble.
Yeah, that's about it.
That was it. That was what brought.
But they can't go back to Devin Booker and them. You can't have that. You got to have a whole team.
And again, when you look at that, and you look at Devin Booker, and you take Chris Paul and them, some of those guys off that team, you're kind of looking at Jimmy Butler, Miami Heat almost, with Devin Booker being the main guy that can create his own shot. But who else is going to be able to create their own shot in that offense? Ayton can knock down, has some post play, can knock down the mid range, but he's not going to, he's not going to be able to create a shot throughout the entire game. Same thing with Mikal Bridges, great spot shooter. He can catch off, pass and shoot, catch and shoot. Great defense, 3D player, but he's not going to be able to create his own shot either.
The jury is out on Cam Johnson, though. He disappeared in his playoffs.
And again, and he's not one of the guys, and he did disappear.
He can create, but if you give him a chance to create a shot, he actually can. He just didn't do it. So.
But don't you view him as more of a catch and shoot guy in the NBA too? You don't?
I don't. I seen him put the ball on the floor enough for him to be somebody that should be able to create his own shot. I mean, he's improving every year, but I think if you're going to look internally for somebody to create their own shot, a secondary person, it should be him.
So what's a more, again, we're going off script here a little bit, what would be a better destination for you as a free agent NBA player? Would it be going to play, say Chris Paul retires, would that be out at Phoenix with Devin Booker and Mikal Bridges, or would you rather go to Dallas and play with Luka and the Mavericks? What destination to you would be a better free agent appeal?
If I'm a point guard, I want to go play for Monty in Phoenix.
That's true. That is a good
point.
If
I'm a scorer, I want to go to Dallas, because I know that Luka's going to give me the ball in my sweet spots on the court. And I know that I don't have to put up 30 every night, because he can put up 30. I just have to give 20 or 25 a night and play halfway decent defense, and we'll win most of our games. So if I'm I'm going to say his names. If I'm a Brad Beal or somebody like that. Zach LaVine. I'm taking a hard look at Dallas.
And again,
Jason Kidd, players coach, has done it at all levels.
Mark Cuban, got
Cuban,
money in the
you have financial support, but also just support anyway. He's just that type of owner.
Yeah, he is.
Dallas is going to be a hot destination this summer.
And it's also a little interesting as well, because the guys that Dallas are going to want to get, or that might want to go to Dallas, are the guys the Sixers are going to need, or the Sixers might want to go get that guard, that combo guard that can score the basketball. Brad Beal, Zach LaVine, they're going to be in the market for both of those organizations.
But let's not forget about the one thing Dallas has over most states. There's no tax on those contracts. That's all their money. All their money.
And I'm telling you, it's little things like that that people might not think about that do play a big part in some of the places these free agents decide to go to. Quick update locally here. Remember, it was 4-3. Cape Henlopen in front of Tatnall. Then it was 6-3 at the half. Cape Henlopen has reeled off 6 more goals. So 4-3 in the first half. We were talking, we were like, wow, Cape hasn't dropped a game in state since I believe 2011, 2012. Well, they really turned it on here in the second half. 12-3. They lead Tatnall in your girls lacrosse state championship. Another baseball update. Caesar Rodney blanks the Vikings of St. Elizabeth's 9-0. Chris Roscoe, Griffin Tracy combined for 6 RBIs. 3 pitchers shut out the Vikings for Caesar Rodney. So Caesar Rodney will advance, and it looks as if though Cape Henlopen is on their way to another girls lacrosse state championship. Also, Tatnall playing 2 players down due to yellow cards, so that definitely doesn't help either. And you're not going to be one of the programs, best programs in state history
in the country.
Down, really East Coast at least,
East Coast,
down 2 players. So Cape Henlopen on their way to another state championship. It seems here in the spring for their girls lacrosse program. Jason, we seem to have hit everything here. Anything else before we head out on this Thursday night? Dallas and Golden State, game at 9 o'clock tonight. We'll see if the Warriors can close out the Mavericks. We both think that's going to happen later.
I was going to say June 2nd, you're going to be watching Boston versus Golden State on ABC.
And we have said that.
Finals.
So I had the Warriors from round 1 going to the finals. You had the Celtics from round 1 going to the finals. So now here we go. And again, we've had, as a fan, a pretty poor conference finals for both the West. And it hasn't been the most watchable conference finals. Going into that game 5 between Boston and Miami, there were 4 total lead changes throughout those 4 games. That just won every game. I mean, that's horrible to watch as a fan. But I'll tell you, we were talking about this too. Golden State and Boston, that's going to be a heck of a finals.
Heck of a finals. Banner 18, folks.
I'm telling you, it's going to be a good one.
18.
And we're going to have your finals preview and all that coming up at a later date. We'll see if both of these teams can wrap up these series over the weekend. Again, we might not be with you Saturday morning. We might have a local baseball update. We'll have to plan that out a little bit later, but make sure you're on the lookout for Saturday morning. But we'll have to wait and see if we're live on the air. So for Nick Alessandrini, Jason McCall, and of course the great Dennis Pritchard to make everything go back behind the scenes, we will see you next time on DETV. Enjoy the Western Conference Finals tonight, game number 5 in San Francisco. We'll see you next time.